Okay, hey everyone in 4890 Special Topics class. We are going to make our flyer today, which will then be your assignment due on January 31st. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what we're going to do is remind ourselves what we're looking for. So this is our flyer that we will be completing throughout this tutorial, and again you will turn this in as an assignment. You can look at the announcements for more information on that. So what we're going to do, if you're following the InDesign instructions provided on Georgia View, we've opened InDesign already, and now we're going to click Create New, or if you're working on a PC, it may just be New. So we're going to hit Create New, and it will pull this up. First, we're going to come over here and name our file. It'll be untitled dash some number. And for this, we're going to do CRPI example, the date, and then your initials. So we have that set. And then at the top bar up here, we're going to want to hit print. Because this is intended for print, make sure letter is selected. We're going to go over to our right side here. We want the width to be 8.5 by 11, height, 8.5 inches wide, 11 inches tall, which is a portrait, landscape, or orientation. Make sure you're working in inches. See this units right here. Inches will be really important. Pages, we only want one page. We want it to start at 1, and we want 2 columns. So here is our column section, and we also are going to want our gutter, which will be set to 0.1667 inches, which is the default. We're going to double check on our margins, half-inch margins, so we're good to go there. And our bleed. So we're going to want to set our bleeds to 0.125 inches, and you only have to type that in once and it will snap them all. Make sure that this little link over here, make all settings the same, is clicked. We're not going to worry about slugs for today, so we're going to go ahead and select create. As you can see, we have our name up here and our file is set up. If we zoom in, we look at this red line, that's your bleed line. If you look at this pink line, this is your margin line. And then the center column right here, this is your gutter that splits the 2 columns. So we're going to look at a whole picture view right now. So we're going to start designing, and we're going to start by placing a photo. Again, like I said in class, there's a couple different ways to do that. First, we'll do it both ways, but we'll do the rectangle, and we're going to create a rectangle frame from the top of the bleeds, which is the corner I just selected, and we're going to make it down to 5.125 inches down the page. So as you can see, right beside my cursor, there's a width and a height. So we're going to make that H go to 1 point, relatively around there. It doesn't have to be exact, but close enough. So here's our box, our frame, and that was found in your toolbox. Your toolbox could be a variety of different places. I've moved mine to the right side just out of preference. But it could be on your left side. So make sure you can see your toolbox, and if you can't, go to your window and make sure Tools is selected right here. So now we're going to go pick up our selection tool, and that'll make our cursor black arrow. We want it to be a black arrow, so we're going to go to, make sure your frame box is selected. Now we're going to go to File, and then Place. And so then we're going to find our document. So on our desktop, I have it saved under the InDesign Mini Workshop. And here's our files we'll be working with today. And so we're going to grab our picture, our water tower picture. We're going to hit open. And then we're going to make sure that picture is still selected so we see our gray area. We're going to go to fitting and then fit content proportionally. So again, that'll bring our picture into the frame. Like some of you saw on Tuesday, we have some white space right here. So what do we do to fix that? If we place our photo like this, we'll go in here, grab, we're still with our selection tool, grab a corner. If you're working on a Mac, it's Command-Shift-G. If you're working on a PC, it's Control-Shift-G. You're going to hold all three keys down at the same time and pull it just a little bit at the corner to make it bigger. That keeps it proportional. Now you're going to make that in the middle. See this pink line that just went through our gutter? That means that it's centered with the page, and that's good. So now we have our picture set that way. We can do it a different way, so we'll go ahead and delete that. What we'll do is we'll just go here to our Finder. My folder's on my desktop, so we'll find our folder again, InDesign Mini Workshop. Click on that picture, and then we're going to drag and drop it into InDesign. And that'll place it. So this picture is really big in size. So we'll go out. So to make the screen go in and out, we'll hit Command or Control plus or minus to make that screen go in and out. So what we're going to do here is the same thing, Command-Shift-G or Control-Shift-G, grab a corner and make that picture smaller. We may have to do it a couple times. This is my preferred method. Yes, it may take longer, however, I know the proportions are going to stay the same. Okay, now we're going to drag this up here again. And we see that it is about in the center of the page. If we want to check it, we'll do Command plus, zoom in. See where we're at. So if you want to, on your rulers, which is on the side and the top, you can click on a ruler and drag a ruler line down. So see, we're just a little bit farther underneath. So we'll go ahead and bump that picture up. You can either pull it up or hit your arrow. So there we go. The top of the water tower is right at the margins, the top margin, and it fills the whole page. So now we have our photo there. Next we're going to create our title. So we're going to want to come over here, grab the type tool, right under the photo from margin to margin. We're going to drag this type tool. Again, just make sure it's margin to margin right now. The box width is not a big deal right now. So we're going to go to our document down here. We're going to grab the title, 2019 Georgia's Rule Center Photo Contest begins January 25th. Okay, so we have that. It's in the standard font and size. So what are we going to do now with it to get it how we want it? We're going to highlight that text, so you can either drag and highlight it, or while you're working in that text box, you can hit Command or Control A. That's your select all within that given text box. So we're going to go here, and we are going to change it to, I believe it was Arial, narrow, and then we're going to make that bold underneath. So again, our fonts are right here in the left corner. Our font size is right here, right next to it. So here we can click on that, type in 31. We'll go back and select our selection tool after doing that, and it will create that. So now you see that our box here is a little bit bigger than what we need. We can fix that easily by double clicking this anchor point right here, and it will snap it to the bottom of that text box. And again, we can click on, we're still in our text box. We'll go back to the T. And I did have in the instructions, we want to go to the paragraph formatting controls. We want to make sure that hyphenation is off, which is on your right side, and we want to make sure that it is aligned left, which is over here. There's a bunch of options, but we want to do align left. Okay, now we are going to create the body copy. It's going to follow a very similar system as what we just did. So we're going to go back and select our T text tool. We're going to create one box over here on your left column. And then we're going to create another box, same size, over on the right side. You can also copy and paste that initial box to ensure that, but you'll also start seeing your guidelines, which will help you. Do not go past the margins, the pink lines, that's really important. Now we're going to copy and paste body copy from the document into the left-hand box. So we want to click back into that left-hand box. We're going to hit our Word document. We're going to select all of this body copy. And it is recommended to type in Word first and then type in InDesign. InDesign does have spell check, however, it doesn't always catch it, and it is easier to do those types of edits in Word. Okay, so we have copy and pasted it into our left side box. As you can see, not all the text is there. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our selection tool up here again, and we're going to zoom in real quick. So Command plus, and we see this little plus sign at the bottom. We're going to click on that, and so we have this weird little link cursor going on here. We're going to zoom back out, and we're going to click inside that second box. The text from the first box that wasn't fitting now flows over into the second column. Now we're going to adjust the font and size of this. So again, we're going to repeat those steps from the title. You can do the Command A, or you can highlight them all. If you Command A, it'll do it for you easily. I believe it was, I'm going to double check. We're going to do Georgia 12-point font. Okay, so we're already selected. We're going to scroll to Georgia. It's already at 12-point font, and we're good to go. We also want to go back and double check that hyphenation. Again, we don't want hyphenation. And then we are still left aligned. So we're good to go there. Now we're going to create bullets in the body. And that's super simple. We're going to deselect all of that. Just click outside the box. You can even select your cursor tool again. So we're going to select the specific text that we want. So we want the categories. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to our paragraph formatting styles right below the A near the font. And we're going to select the bullet list, which is icon, which is in the center of the top toolbar. So we're going to click on that. And now we have bullets. And we're going to repeat that for all necessary items. So again, these winner categories, we're going to go select those, hit that, and then we're going to select the rest of that, and we're going to bullet that. Now what we need to do real quick while we're looking at our text, we want to go back and make sure where that text was at. So we see that these are partial rules and guidelines, full rules, that text. We can see that's not in the first column. So what we're going to do is we are going to adjust that just a bit. We're going to slide that down as well as this one to match up until we get that over there. Okay. And again, I'm just snapping it with that double click to make that go. And you just saw that green line. That shows that they are aligned in that capacity. So there we go. We're good to go with that. And so we'll go back. We can even move those up just a smidge. So we'll select both of those together. You can do a shift and then you click on them while you're hitting shift. We're going to move that up closer to the title. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to create shapes, and that's super simple. We're going to go over here to our rectangle tool in our toolbox again, and what we're going to do is we're just going to click and drag a shape. The biggest thing is just making sure it's at a 180-degree level, that it's not crooked. So right now it's not filled, it's just a box. What we're going to do is we're going to just select black, and then we're going to go down to the new swatch. And one thing is to make sure that your box is either from bleed to bleed or exceeds the bleeds. And if you have an outline on it, so we have a black box right now, the stroke or the outline, we don't want a stroke or an outline. Just ensure that none is selected in that. So we're going to go back to our filled in color. So we have black selected. We're going to go to new swatch, select that. Now on the black copy, we want to double click. So that brings us to our area where we can make new colors. So we're going to name this red dirt orange. We're going to go to our instructions, and so CMYK, we talked about that a little bit in class. C is cyan, M is magenta, Y is yellow, K is black. So these are our values that we have here. So we want cyan to be 24, so we'll move that. We want magenta to be 53. We want the yellow to be 84. And we want the black to be 6. Double check that. Okay, so that's our new color. We're going to hit OK, and it changes the color for us. So now we have our block, how we want it. And what we're going to do is we are going to copy this box now, so Command or Control C, and we're going to paste it, which is Command V or Control V. So now we have a block in the middle of our box. We don't necessarily want that, but we know we have to have orange on the top somewhere. So now we're going to drag this up approximately in that area, and that's okay that it is overflowing the bleed because we want it to either go to the bleed or extend the bleed. So now we have our shapes done. We're going to place the logo like we talked about in the It Never Fails or It Works Every Time design layout. Again, this is what I do normally, but I'll just go to that file, drag and drop it. Again, you can place it if you need to. Place is really used for when you only have a certain amount of space to put something. And so that's where that function comes in handy to get it in those boxes that are going to stay the same. So again, we're going to do the Command-Shift-G to about the size of the logo and the original. We're going to line it up with the right side of the margin. So we're going to zoom in here. We see this margin right here. we see our frame box right here. We want those to be aligned. And for the logo, we're going to put it in the middle of the bottom margin. So again, where rule center's at, just have that somewhere along that pink line, which is your margin line. Okay, so now we have that. Make sure it's at the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to deselect that by clicking outside the box. We're going to zoom out. And we're going to take a look at it. It looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is hit the W key, just W by itself, and that's going to show us what we have. And that's where you can check the print ready version. So again, that looks pretty good. Looks really close to what we started with. So we'll hit that W key again, and that'll take us back to the designing mode. Now we're going to save the document. So again, we're going to go to File, then we're going to go to Save. It's going to ask us where to save it. We're going to save it to wherever you'd like it, but I'm going to save it in my InDesign mini workshop. You may have to modify the name just a touch. Add that back in. So we have saved it now. Then what we're going to do is go to Export, which is down here. The Command or Control E for a shortcut. You're going to now export this. We're going to want to export it as a Adobe PDF print. So your third option down, second or third option, depending on what type of computer you're with. So our name is still the same, that's fine. We're going to hit Save. And we'll talk more about these as we go throughout the class, but for the purpose of this project, we're just going to go ahead and hit Export. And now we have exported it, and it will show us what we have made now. We can look at it, and that's what we have. So this is what we created, and that's what the original was. So again, pretty close. And that is creating the flyer for your assignment. If you have any other questions, let Dr. Littlefield or I know. And again, let us know if you have any questions, and we are working through the computer issues as well. So that's all we have for today, and we will see you on Thursday.